Hi, my name is Connor McRae, and I have chosen for the Make My Own Case project to focus on JPMorgan Chase and Co. So, for just a little organizational background, JPMorgan Chase and Co. is a financial services company based in New York City. JPMorgan Chase is a very old institution across both of its main two businesses, JPMorgan and Chase, with about 200 years or more of both individual and combined history. And they specialize in many financial services, including investment banking, retail banking, and private banking. And as of 2023, they have the largest market share of any financial services country, not only in the US, but internationally as well. And then for just a little bit of justification of why I decided to choose JP Morgan, I'm a finance major with an interest in wealth management and financial planning, which I believe would work very well within their private bank division. And I've learned from my prior work experiences that I want to have a career where I am helping people, and I believe that working within their private bank would give me the opportunity to do so. So the first analysis I want to do is a PESTEL analysis, which stands for political, economic, sociocultural, technological, ecological, and legal. So from a political standpoint, they are a large multinational firm that operates in many countries, and as so, they're going to face different political pressure depending on the country. Mainly, most of it is going to be from the U.S. just because that's where they're headquartered in, and more a large substantial of their operations are. But they also will face political pressure in the other countries that they operate in. For economic, I decided to focus on interest rates and inflation, just because that has been the two most pressing macroeconomic factors over the past couple of years. We've seen rising inflation in 2022 and 2023, where it's begun to slow down as of late 2023 heading into this year. But it's still something that is very present on a lot of people's minds. And as a reaction to this increase in inflation, we've also been seeing a rise in interest rates, which has been to combat the rising inflation that we've been seeing. Both of these factors are going to be very important for JP Morgan as a financial services company to be aware of. For sociocultural, I decided to just put that you have to be aware and respectful of many different groups and changing norms. Again, they're a large multinational firm, and as such, each country that they operate in is going to have their own norms and traditions. And as such, they have to be aware of that, but they also have to be aware of how that may be changing over time and just keep updating what their guidelines and policies are. For technological, we've been seeing increased digitalization and AI within the industry over the past couple of years, and I believe that this is going to be a trend that will continue in the coming years as more and more of their operations will probably be online or web-based, and AI will be a very useful tool to help them achieve this. For ecological, JP Morgan has been seeing increasing pressure to shift investment away from fossil fuels just due to their impact on climate change and their past in terms of investing in fossil fuel companies. So that's something that they are probably going to have to be shift or find out which path they want to take going forward in the next couple of years. And then for legal, which is kind of a spillover from the political side of things, they face extreme regulatory and legal oversight due to the industry. Financial services is a very sensitive area in most countries, and as such, they will be regulated accordingly. And also, due to the number of countries they operate in, they have varying different laws and regulations that they have to follow. For Michael Porter's five forces and the sixth force, the most pressing one, I believe, is rivalry among existing competitors, just because there's intense competition within the financial services industry, not only coming from JP Morgan's three main US rivals being Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Citi, but also other competitors, both foreign and domestic, that may try to chip away at their market share. Another important thing for them to consider going forward is threat of substitutes. This includes services like PayPal as well as other companies outside of the industry getting into it. Probably the best example of this is Apple, where they've placed more efforts to get into the financial services industry with Apple Pay, but also the Apple Card as ways for them to get into the industry, even as a primarily technology-focused company. For a new entrance is probably the force that they have to worry the least about, just because as a company as big as they are, a new entrant is probably not going to do a ton of damage, but it's also incredibly difficult to get into the financial services industry in general. So it just isn't really that much of a threat. For bargaining power of both suppliers and buyers, it really just varies depending on the customer, just because your average Joe who's either a supplier or a buyer probably won't have that much influence, but for a larger net worth client or a corporation, they definitely can swing things. And then for compliments, I decided to focus on United, Marriott, and Southwest, just because the Chase part of their business does operate partnerships with each of these companies in terms of rewards, which incentivizes consumers to not only work with Chase, but also these other companies. For my VRIO analysis, I decided to focus on the intangible resource of the ability to attract talent, just because the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm attracted to working there. It's definitely something valuable to have the ability to have talent, just because it can immediately place you above your competitors. It's definitely rare because it can be hard to attract and hire talent. If it was really easy, probably not all the people that you're hiring are going to be super talented, at least compared to everybody else. Imitatable, it's very difficult to imitate just because it's not something that has an on-off switch. It's something that's going to vary throughout years and is difficult to implement over years. And organized, it definitely is organized because the hiring process is very detailed to make sure that they are indeed getting the top quality candidates that can help out their business. For business level and corporate level strategy, for the business level strategy, JPMorgan pursues a blue ocean strategy, which is a combination of differentiation and cost-effective leadership. So as a part of that, they focus on making their products and services stand out while keeping costs lower. And the reason why they pursue this strategy is, again, because of how competitive the industry is. They can't cheapen their products to where customers don't want to use it, but they also can't differentiate themselves too much where your average consumer is either priced out or won't be impressed by the offerings that they have. And then for their corporate level strategy, JPMorgan has used primarily the build and buy aspects of creating resources and capabilities. And for this has been acquiring or merging with various firms throughout their history, but they've also heavily built up its digital presence, particularly within the Chase side of their operations. And then for interpretation of the analysis, using these analysis has shown the intricacies of the industry and the environments JPMorgan operates in, as well as the resources and capability of their businesses. That's something that I didn't really have going into it. I had a rough idea in terms of like they're a big company with a ton of resources, but not necessarily in terms of what the industry looks like as a whole. And I believe that JPMorgan is in a good position for the present and the future. However, I would have a couple of strategies I would recommend going forward. Strategy one, keep improving the digital aspects of their operations. I believe that this is going to be something that's paramount going forward just because we are going to see a shift towards, I think, more of this industry being online or being done through computers and AI, and JPMorgan probably wants to get on top of that. For strategy two, begin the process of divesting away from fossil fuels just because it'll take off a lot of this outside pressure they face, but I also believe it'll open up new areas of revenue and growth for the company. And then strategy three is just continue to expand their international operations, particularly within the Middle East and Africa, because I believe that those are areas that are underutilized and again could be potential revenue generators going forward. And then my overall conclusion is that JPMorgan has showcased through these analysis that they are well equipped to handle challenges from both the external and internal environment. They've also demonstrated to me why they are a company I would want to work for, just because it's a place where top talent wants to go to, and it's a place where they recognize the need for top talent. And as a part of that, they're well equipped to handle challenges that they will face both externally and internally. And then here are just a couple of my references. And that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching.